Hey, it's Minju here, and thank you for tuning into another episode of the Way of BJJ podcast. And this is our first episode of 2024, and we have a very special episode today. And I do have to make a disclaimer because we actually ended up not talking about jiu-jitsu whatsoever. Instead, me, Tuna, and our good friend Matt Kwan, we ended up talking about all the hot topics that grinds our gear. So if you're into that, keep on listening. If not, skip or go check out the Essential Jiujitsu Podcast, or go to the App Store and download the Way of BJJ app and check out all the awesome free techniques that we have on display over there. All right, so let's get to the podcast. That's it. Once I hit record, then that's it. Anything goes.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a first for Way of BJJ podcast wise, right? Because we are actually trying to do something very special here today, Matt. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on here. So because I listened to your podcast, your Essential Jiu-Jitsu Podcast, which is really good. You guys should check it out for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, but the only gripe I have about it is I listened to the Kit Dale episode where you named it. I'm getting canceled for this episode, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But that was such a pathetic attempt at trying to get canceled, man. You kind of talk about something spicy, but then not, just. That's why we're doing this episode to show you guys and you how it's actually done. So we're gonna try our best to get canceled here, right? So I'll share the mic with Tuna because if we're gonna get canceled, there's no better way than putting Tuna and Matt together, right?
Yeah. So what's your opinion?
What? On what? Bring it on.
Go ahead, bring it on, man.
No, I was just trying.
We had a couple of ideas pre-show, but
Right, yeah. But I mean, it's
this
mostly
right.
it's still mostly a jiu-jitsu podcast. So we will talk about jiu-jitsu to not completely waste your time. But I think the first thing we can talk about that is a kind of a hot topic would be transgender fighting in the women's division. So yeah, I
how do I
mean,
feel about it?
yeah, of course, man.
Well, I mean, I'm like a normal thinking person, so I see how it's not really fair. But I think if there's a certain group of people out there who want to pretend that it is fair, and it's just not. We know that men are physically they have more bone density, they have more muscle mass, and especially when you're born a male, you transition to a female, and then you want to go fight women. I mean, I think it's I don't really understand it. I have a few choice words for it. I think it's I think you should just fight dudes, honestly.
But
if
it's
you're born a man, you should fight dudes.
But it's because you are not respecting
It's hate, that's why.
they're not respecting their identity. They don't identify as male anymore. They identify as female. So we really should respect that, and we should applaud them for being so brave.
I mean, hey, I think jujitsu, I still think it's unfair, but the consequences aren't that bad. But in a sport like MMA or boxing or something like that, where there's blows landed to the head, I think it absolutely is. It absolutely is dangerous and unfair. And like I said, I think someone who's born a man and wants to identify as a woman, okay, sure, you can identify as a woman, but that doesn't mean that you should be able to fight my daughter in a grappling match. Go fight either men or go fight other transgender people to make it fair. Why do you have to fight someone of the opposite sex? And why is it hate if I don't if I don't
Want your daughter to be paralyzed?
if I don't want my daughter to be paralyzed?
I think it's actually really dangerous for jiu-jitsu in a tournament, right? Because adrenaline comes in, especially when they're like the white belt level, right? Most techniques haven't developed yet. Maybe at like a purple belt, a good girl, she's already used to fighting a lot of like guys in her gym. If she stayed at that level, she'll know how to protect herself. But like, you get like a new white belt trans person with all their strength and a white belt girl, right? Like female, then it's just gonna be crazy. They're gonna like the trans like the trans woman would just go that her adrenaline will kick in and just like use all her strength. We see that in jiu-jitsu
Instead of
tournaments
saying
sometimes.
trans woman, can you just say woman? Because it's
Sorry,
hateful.
I'm sorry, woman. But have you guys seen like the Thai fighter from back in the day, that like trans woman Thai fighter, transitioning woman?
It's a woman, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
That she fought in her
2023.
division and had so much, there's more respect for that, right?
I
And she
actually
won
have.
her division.
Yeah, and there are outliers. There are women who are absolute killers who could beat men in fights, but I think that it is. I think it's somewhat rare. You know,
Yeah.
it's even if they're the same weight class. I think it's unlikely. Not to say that couldn't happen, but just to say, you know, it's still a disadvantage in my opinion. I mean, why don't we see women in, you know, NHL, NFL, basketball? Like, what? Why is it because those leagues are hateful against women and they don't want them to have equal opportunity, or is it because, you know, there's a clear disadvantage physically, you know, and is it wrong to point that out? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I do have personal experience.
you were a woman.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
knew
mean,
your dick looked
I
weird.
know. Yeah, man. I mean, I grew up in Thailand actually.
Okay.
So in Thailand, there's a big transgender culture, right? It's kind of accepted by society.
Right.
So growing up, it wasn't actually weird to see transgender. Or we call them transvestites at the back then. I don't even know.
I mean, we used to call them that too, but now they
Yeah,
don't
are
allow
we
it.
are we
I didn't
allowed
used to.
are we allowed to say that anymore?
I think it's about. I have no idea. I'm just
We could
afraid.
bring it back.
So anyway, so when I was in high school, I was in the varsity volleyball team, right? So then this one day, where like they told us that they got us a Thai high school for us to play against a Thai high school team, right? So we're like, okay, cool, whatever, right? We have a match, so that's good. And then so we showed up, and then I went into the locker room, and then as soon I mean our school's locker room, I've been there hundreds of times, right? So this one time I went in, and I was like, oh fuck, did I go into the women's locker room by mistake? Because the visiting the visiting Thai high school was actually a transgender high school, but they didn't tell us beforehand.
The whole
So the
the
whole
whole
team,
team was
so the whole
transgender.
team was transgender.
Really?
So when I went into the locker room, I saw like women looking people with like long hair and all makeups and all that kind of stuff in the locker room. That's why my initial reaction is, oh fuck, I went into the women's locker room by mistake, until I realized, no, you know what, it's the transgender team.
So
Shit.
they looked like women, but
So
they were biological men.
they look like women, but they're biological men, and some of them are still going through transition. They have like mustache and beards and everything, but everything else, they were dressed as women. Their hair look is womanly, all that kind of stuff. But everything else is still male.
And you played them.
And then
That's
and
all I
then
know.
then we play them, and here is the thing:
Did they win?
they fucking killed us. They were so good, and I was like, holy shit! And then they were like they maintain all. Obviously, they're still men, right? They just
Whoa.
identify as women.
Okay, be careful.
I know, but our goal is to get canceled. So I'm gonna say this, right? So I mean, the physical attributes and everything is still clearly biologically male. So they fucking killed us. We have never lost like that badly, like ever. I'm still fucking traumatized to this day because of that experience.
That's what it should be about, right?
But you weren't traumatized about seeing them in the locker room. You were traumatized about the loss.
I guess I got traumatized, twice and kind of canceled out. That's why I still, came out to be somewhat normal, I guess. But I think the important thing is that's volleyball where no physical harm
Right.
was
It's not
is gonna
combat
happen,
sports,
right?
right?
But now imagine that, but in a combat sport, right? That's essentially what it is,
Well, even imagine if you had like a female team versus a male team in volleyball. I mean, the males are generally taller. They're able to spike the ball way harder. You know, they can generally jump higher, move side to side quicker. How is it not a disadvantage?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like at what point? At what point does a man who is born biologically a male, who is transitioning to a female, at what point are they no longer a male and they become a female?
And it's just like pick one too. I know some people who are just like,
No, I want your answer.
I like my aesthetics. So like for guys, if they do sports that don't allow steroids, but they like to look good and do the juice, so they'll do the juice and then they can't play the sport anymore. It's kind of like the same thing, right? It's just like, just what do you like more, your like identity or the sport that you're doing? if you're doing the sport you're doing, wouldn't it be better to beat the better team, the guys? I'm pretty sure there's like some hardcore girls out there that like wish that they're like strong enough so they can fuck up some guys, and then if they could, they would join the men's division.
Yep.
There's like they just know there's just this gap there, and it's not like a superiority type of thing. It's just like genetics, and
Yeah, it's like muscle mass and bone density, like we talked
they're
about.
just built different, right?
We are built different, and I think it's okay to admit that we are different,
Yeah.
right?
It's
like
like
women have the biggest superpower of all, which is to be able to give
birth.
birth to make
amazing.
babies. Yeah, like we can't do that. I've seen my wife give birth twice. It's fucking crazier than anything I could ever do. So it's not like I'm like diminishing women. I'm just saying when
That's
it
the
comes to
thing.
physical sports at a high level, I mean, there has to be some kind of meritocracy that goes along with that.
I think people are just nowadays they're mistaking the idea of like equality with total like fairness. You know what I mean? It's like no, a man could be just a man is built stronger because they just had different roles back in the day, right? But it doesn't mean like we're not like equal when it comes to rights and all that stuff. And actually, like keeping this division kind of like fair and then not letting transitioning people join that division is just protecting women, right?
Yeah.
And people who actually complain about it, I notice, are the non-athletical women.
Yeah. Go on.
They're just like, yeah, it should be fair. I've never played sports in my life.
You're basically talking about obese, blue-haired liberal women.
Yes.
Gonna get so canceled.
This is all going according to plan, man.
Really what's happening is we're saying what everyone is thinking, but we're not allowed to say it because people are afraid to lose their job. People are afraid to,
canceled.
get canceled. And we have our own businesses, so we can say whatever the fuck we want. That's why I got my own business, was so I could say what I want. I could teach what I want. And,
People think it's how I talk. I'm like a transphobe or like whatever. But actually, like with my ex-girlfriend, we just like I love watching RuPaul Drag Race. I'm entertained. I love them. One of my favorite like striker right now, actually, it was so hilarious. I saw him on TikTok. I forgot his name. He's just like I think Taiwanese guy. He beat the crap out of his opponent, and afterwards he was just like so flamboyant.
is he a gay guy?
He's a gay guy, and he killed.
And he's just a killer.
Killed the guy. It's a killer.
Yeah.
And then he would make TikTok videos and like do the most feminine dancing, and I'm like, I love it. That's how it should be, right? You know what I mean?
Like, what is like the word transphobe insinuates that I'm afraid of someone who's transgender.
No, you can
But I'm
single
not.
leg them and take them down and then submit them easily. Why would you be so afraid? Unless they train a lot.
Jesus Christ. How do you know you could submit someone who's
Ooh,
trans?
they could be good too at
They could be
jiu-jitsu,
good.
right?
It could be like a really jacked, like a Gabby Garcia.
a non-
I don't think I could beat Gabby Garcia.
Yeah.
She'd fuck me up.
She's
But
not even trans.
here's something. So other people's argument could be then, right?
Yeah.
Just playing the devil's advocate, I guess. Like they could say, well, look at Gabby, right? So she's an example like that like, it was never even fair anyways. Some girls are just super strong that they shouldn't do it in the first place. It's this is what
shouldn't compete?
cyclists would say.
Like she's too big and strong to compete?
Well, like she's a woman, so she's equivalent to like a trans. So the fact that she's doing it, a trans person
How's she
can do
equivalent
it.
to trans?
Well, amount of
She born a male?
testosterone.
Do you know her levels?
I don't know, maybe.
It's a lot.
I know it's a lot higher than mine.
Yeah, it's probably a lot higher than mine too.
Oh man, yeah. So I think when people might be listening to this and think we're coming from like a place of hate, but there's not an ounce of hate in what we're saying, right? We are actually we're actually saying this out of respect for
women.
for women.
Yeah.
So it's
Out of love for women.
Yeah.
And I think
Women, even transitioning women, if they want to change jiu-jitsu at our gym, I'd welcome them, and
yeah,
help
I
them
think
get better and then get to a level what they
maybe
want.
try and
I'll tell them, you know
ask
what?
them alone and coerce them into sex.
Yeah,
That's probably what
why
you're
not?
into.
Well, not my cup of tea, but the next younger generation, that they like that, so that's good for them.
Like yeah, like I think most men have a natural urge to protect women. Like there are a lot of men out there who are predators and they're scumbags and they they're capable of attacking a woman or abusing a woman or abusing a child. But like most dudes, I think have a biological urge to protect women. And then that's why it's kind of strange because a lot of men want to speak out against it, but they're scared to because if they speak out against it, then there's a lot of pressure coming from society. You shouldn't say that. You shouldn't say this. I think we're on the other side of this sort of woke, last 10 years. Honestly, a lot of it was hyper. It progressed really quickly when Trump was elected, and then all that really fired up the leftists and really separated the left from the right. And now, if you're not on our side, you're a far right extremist or whatever because Trump was in office. But a lot of dudes are just like, I just don't think that my daughter should be competing against men who believe that they're women, and that's fine. You can believe whatever you want, but that doesn't.
And if that's what you wanted,
It doesn't mean that I have to affirm somebody because they want to be something really fucking bad. It doesn't mean that I have to go in and say, yes, I affirm that you are that. Now I get into a boxing match with my daughter. You said no fucking phones. What's this shit?
Wow,
This is the
Tuna.
first on the podcast.
I know. Dude, the first time
I'm more offended by this than the transgender
yeah,
talk.
exactly. The first time we get Tuna to be on one of these interview podcasts, and then this happens.
I planned that. It just gives it a little. It gives it a little bit of more that like realistic thing happens. Like the Deadpool like out of the box.
Yeah.
We're breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's actually Spotify calling you and saying, stop this conversation right now. What are you doing?
Oh man. So we are moving along nicely now. So now you mentioned Trump,
Broken the ice.
right? And now you mentioned Trump, right? And you mentioned people being woke. So one thing, you have a daughter, right? How old is your daughter now?
6.
6? Yeah, mine is 12. So I'm just gonna tell you what's to come if you
I can only imagine that it gets crazier.
and especially in the current education system right now, right? So
We should talk about the education.
yeah, you know what my daughter argues with me the most about right now, and that she's pissed off if I get it wrong.
Go on.
Pronouns and gender fluidity.
Oh, she's into that?
Hell yeah, because the whole school, because that's the way.
Why is that a thing?
It's because that's all they focus on. I'm like, out of all the different issues in the fucking world, and this is the one you're gonna argue with me the most, and then you get absolutely like pissed off if I get your friend's gender pronouns wrong.
She, her?
She's like, yeah, I don't know. She's gender fluid now, right? She's gender fluid, but when she's obviously not, just because
It's kind of it could be a phase,
Someone on Facebook group said we should not worry about that.
What do you mean? Are you talking about me?
No, like in general, they're like, yeah, don't worry about that. Tuna, you're just making shit up, posting stuff on Facebook. That doesn't happen in our school system.
I don't know. I missed this. I'm not on Facebook anymore.
Yeah, so all I'm saying is it's obviously the education system that what they're focusing on right now. What is the most important thing when they are teaching our children, right? So instead of teaching them to worry about stuff that actually matters, right? And now
Instead of preparing them for real world problems. I think the problem is that society is just so focused on comfort and convenience that we already have all of our needs met generally, and we don't need to worry about hunting and gathering food for the winter and making sure the crops are rotated and shit like that. We don't need to worry about that anymore. We don't need to worry about safety. We live here in Canada, and so we worry about petty shit like what you're going to address me as. And, okay, guys, I want you to call me Matt the King. Those are my pronouns. And if you don't call me Matt the King, you're a fucking bigot.
You know
like,
what?
That's literally the level of insanity of it, right? It's like I don't have to address you as something, that clearly you are not.
This pronouns thing is dangerous. Imagine if it became the law where you have to call somebody their correct pronouns.
It is.
I can guarantee you
C16.
so many Filipino people will be in jail or will have to pay so much fines because we just can't get our his and her, especially my mom, correct. Like call it always mixing his and hers and all that. We're just gonna go to jail. Period.
Yeah,
And
because in the Asian language, there's no distinction, right? So that's why.
oh, really?
Yeah,
It's
that's
not masculine or feminine.
yeah. I mean, when you write it out, then at
The
least
Asian language. What country is the Asian
yeah.
language
Sorry, at least in Chinese, right? At least in Chinese, when you say he, her, it's the same. It's the same, right?
Yeah.
But when you write it out, then there's a distinction. But when you say it, there's not. That's why a lot of Asian immigrants they mix the genders up, right? That's just the fact of having English as a second language, right?
Not think about it. There's like no he. There's like sha. There's just like kind of like them or they or whatever, right?
That's a pronoun.
Yeah.
them, they, right? So
Well, no,
is
but
everyone-
no. I'm talking about
is
like
everyone
just more
they,
than
them in
more than
China?
one, or like he, she, but it's not he, she. It's just like the meaning of that without any masculine or feminine.
But there is a lot of he, she's over there, right?
Yeah, and you know what? No, there's a lot of like
what you did there, Matt.
no, like in Filipino, like we have a lot of like gays and trans community, right? And then they're actually like not prejudiced. A lot of them are like made it into our celebrities and whatnot, and then every have a group of friends, and then they have that. Everyone just respects it. It's like the younger generation that are just like the older. You know what I find funny? The older generation who actually had to feel oppression, who actually had like people who were like throwing legit hate on them, and then they're the one that like worked hard, and then just but instead of like saying, "Hey, respect me like this," they just became super talented at something, and then showed everybody, look, like I'm just I make great music, I make this thing, so no need to be afraid of me, because like if you like my music, then you can. The best way to win somebody is not just like, hey, you should do this because it's supposed to be like that. Just what? Stop vicariously living through that pronoun and just do something amazing. And then they'll just love you as a human being. You know what I mean?
Well,
be a comedian, be a whatever, right?
A lot of these people just want to be affirmed.
That's the thing.
And I think a lot of these people are very, very confused about their own identity. And I sympathize with them, because that must be very, very difficult. Like to be confused about what gender you are or your own identity, or maybe you grew up in a Canadian public school system, and I see it too with my
Planted in
kids.
their head.
They put the seed in their head. They start talking to them about gender when like it started at my kids' school. It starts when they're in kindergarten.
Wow.
Yeah, and I remember when I brought my daughter to her school, there was signs all over the doors, and I'm not shitting you. It had a nice little rainbow there. Every kid sees a rainbow. Oh, that's nice. Like my daughter loves rainbows. She draws them all the time. And then underneath, in explicit writing, it says, "This is a safe space for homosexuals, bisexuals, pansexuals, transgenders, gay, lesbian, all this stuff." And I'm like, those are a lot of those are sexual preferences. And so I actually had and guys, if you're listening, if you guys want me to release the conversation I had with the principal, I have the conversation. I haven't released it, but there is a conversation that I had with him about these signs, and I was like, "Yo,
And what are you waiting for, Matt?
well,
Release it, man.
It's the ace in the sleeve, and I may very well release the conversation that I had with this guy, and he's basically trying to justify this, and I said, hey, so and so do you have any kids in the school that are sexually active? And he said, well, no, I hope not. And I said, why? Why don't you want them? Oh, well, because they're too young. I said, okay, interesting. Why do you have signs that say, it's okay if you're gay or
Just make it a safe place, period. Who cares about all the other stuff?
If you're all, and then he said, it's all about diversity and inclusion.
Fine.
And I said, okay, why don't you just have a sign that says, this is a safe space for anyone, regardless of who you are?
Respect everybody for what they like.
Yeah. Why? Are we going to start
You don't
putting
name.
And this is like such a communist Marxist thing, is they put you into groups so that you are now divided into groups, and they tried to divide you against your own parents, because the sign was saying, this is a safe space, whether you're bisexual, pansexual, transgender, all these things. But what if your kid comes home and is like, hey, Dad, I'm pansexual? And you're like, what the fuck? You're like 6 years old. No, like...
I don't even know what pansexual
Right.
means.
Okay, so, dude, like this...
Well, you should educate yourself.
Oh, shit.
You're so dumb.
I'm a fucking bigot. Sorry.
So the principal didn't even know what pansexual was, because I asked him in the conversation, what does pansexual mean? I didn't know, right? Apparently pansexual means you'll fuck anyone. It doesn't matter if you're bisexual, if
Great.
you're genderless.
Not when you're
whatever.
6. You shouldn't be fucking in the first place.
So anyways, he told me that being a pansexual extends beyond human race, so into animal kingdom shit. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna be even easier than I thought. This guy, I'm like,
Did he
okay,
put down a safe place for bestiality?
right. And so I said, okay, like, and then I was like, hey, this is gonna be way easier than I thought. I'm gonna get this guy to I'm gonna get him to try and defend having sex with an animal, and then and like I'm like, okay, so my daughter comes home and says, "Hey, Dad, I want to have sex with a dog now," and I say, "No, that's wrong." But the sign at the school says that it's a safe place. So now the school's creating a divide between the parents and the school system. So I'm like, this is a classic Marxist play where you try and get the kids indoctrinated at such a young age, try and get them to turn on their fucking parents. There were kids in the Soviet Union who would give their parents up because they thought that they were betraying the state, right? And so it's such a gross thing to do. It all it does is it rots the family to the core, and then it gets the kids on the side of the state or on the side of the agenda that they're pushing, right? Anyways, the signs got changed. I got the signs changed, but yeah, I do have a conversation that I don't know. I've thought about maybe releasing it.
Man.
Maybe like doing like a watch party and
Nice.
narrating it.
Nice. Yeah. So I feel like this is a good time to make a disclaimer. So
Now,
to
not before.
well, I mean to the listeners,
fucking late for
to
that.
the listeners right now. So if you're still listening and you're like wondering when we're gonna get to jujitsu stuff, we might or we might not with how great the conversation is going.
This is more interesting.
But make sure to go listen to the Essential Jiujitsu Podcast. Yeah, and then then you'll have guaranteed jujitsu stuff. All right, now let's keep going.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, neither do we.
I mean, when you have kids, issues hit a little bit differently. Especially like public school and shit. A lot of these teachers, and I have friends who are teachers. I have family members who are teachers, and I know good teachers. We've all had at least I'd say one good teacher. But a lot of them are just pushing this like woke ideology stuff. After I had a conversation with the principal, I got a call from the counselor, and she was just doubling down on this. I said, well, this is very sexual. Like what you're teaching my daughter something that I don't feel she's ready for yet. I don't think she's ready for those ideas yet. And she's, well, we don't see it that way, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I understand why people are homeschooling. You know what I mean? I get it. It's just difficult when parents are working and whatnot, but I get it.
So it's actually like I would just post on Facebook some pretty bad, like, oh, some inspirational stuff, and I would just tweak on this once in a while, and everyone's like, oh, there goes Tuna again tweaking on Facebook. But like,
About transgender people?
well, no, about just like like I have like cousins that are transgender, and then I have lots of respect and I love lots of them. I just don't like it when it's just becoming their tool to just bully, and I think that's what's happening now, right?
Transgender people are bullying?
Yeah. And,
Go on.
and then like all this agendas happening, and I'm all about like, we grew up in the 90s, right? Where we had Xena, the warrior princess, you know what I mean? And
Great show.
We had like good role models, right? But it teaches us to like be equal, right? And then to fight for equality and whatever, and then just like empowering people. I think what's happening now is before we were like, how do we elevate somebody up? And now with the equality, what's happening is how do we pull everybody down, right? And I'm just like not down with that. But like, I just see on Facebook how like the school.
Maybe you need to stay off Facebook too.
That's
Well-
why I got off. Too many fucking assholes
No, it was.
who couldn't see through the COVID bullshit.
There's the next subject matter.
Next topic. Just seamless transition.
Well, now that we've segued over there,
Oh man, yeah. So I guess now we have to talk about that shit now.
I mean, we could.
I know. It's
Talk
COVID.
about anything. I don't
Is
give a
COVID
fuck.
still a thing right now, though? I mean, I feel
is
I
still
feel
a
like it's
thing.
popping out like when it's convenient for a certain narrative, and then
It is still a thing, Like I always get these texts, oh, go get your vaccine or whatever, and like I saw an ad on YouTube the other day. It's like COVID loves a party. Make sure you get your vaccine and all this shit. It's like yeah, but I remember just like 2 years ago, you wouldn't let me go to fucking Cactus Club unless I was vaccinated. Like it was a very like. It was moving in a really weird direction 2 years ago, but now it's like it's down the memory hole. Everyone forgot it. And now we're just supposed to pretend that like everything is back to normal, right? And maybe a lot of people can't relate. I understand there's people who are just like, yeah, I just got the vaccine, I didn't give a fuck, I just, but there were like a lot of people who didn't want to get it, and they were getting forced to get it by the state, and then it caused a lot of rifts between their families. So if you were one of those people who's affected by that, it'll hit home a lot more than if you just like thought nothing of it, right? Yeah, I'll just get the vaccine or whatever.
But you also get too extreme, right? People who are extreme on like, wear a mask. And then you also get the extreme of like, what the fuck are you wearing a mask? You shouldn't be wearing a mask. Actually,
Agreed.
this motherfucker is sick. Let them wear their mask. The most important thing is just don't like, I just don't like it when people tell me what the fuck to do. If you don't feel safe, wear your fucking mask, right? And you should have every right to wear it. But if you feel like you shouldn't, like you don't want it, then don't wear it.
Yeah.
And then maybe if a place don't want you for some reason, just respect that. And then like, okay, they want to play this game and I won't go there.
Yeah, I think there's radical people on both sides. There's people who thought that if you didn't get the vaccine, you should get fucking fired because you're going to kill many people. And a lot of that comes from a place of fear. So I understand that fear can do like fucked up things to people and really cloud people's judgment and get in the way of them and their relationships. But also there's people on the other side that I know one person who's like, they're convinced that the vaccine was like, that Trudeau was sending placebos to certain demographics in Canada and then myocarditis laden vaccines to other demographics because he didn't like those people. I'm just like, see, that's like crazy to me. Like, I think that's a little bit out there, but I remember from the beginning, I was like, man, this is like, they're pushing it so much. And we can see as the months went on, the mortality rates and who it was affecting, that it wasn't going to be something that was like a plague, like it was killing elderly, which is sad.
My mom was actually affected really hard by it.
Yeah, I know people
spent a
who were
year
affected by
on the but even right now she's like, I don't think I'll take these any more boosters.
right. And like and I think everyone should have the right to do whatever they want with their body. I'm actually a classical liberal from the 90s. I'm not alt-right. I'm not fucking anything like that. I'm for like freedom of expression and freedom of your own body. So when the government tells me, hey, like there's this virus and if you don't get the vaccine, you can't operate your business. And if you don't check your students' medical history, you can't let them in. I'm like, what the fuck? What is this?
When you mention that, Matt, actually, if you actually talk to a lot of people who they call extreme rightists, like they're liberal people. What happened was the left just went so far. Like before, this was liberal, right? But the left went so far that it moved like the borderline. And now like people who are like, just like, okay, I was logical are now like on the right.
Yeah.
It's not like, and then they make it sound like, oh, we hate women or we hate trans. Or like,
Yeah,
no, we don't. It's just like, we love and support them. And then we just think this is crazy. And then what I think is crazy, like people like even like, who's that like guy that everyone used to like again, a black scientist? But now he's
Neil
like,
deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy's like multiple time accused rapist.
And then like, he's like, he won't even admit
But he
that
speaks so well.
scientifically that there's a difference between a male and a female. That's the weird thing. When
said there isn't?
Well, that's what's going on.
I think Bill Nye said that shit too.
Yeah, and then he's agreeing. Now he's just kind of, well, like maybe we shouldn't care. Well, we should actually care. You know what I mean? Because there's like some cancers that only women would get, and that men won't get. But they're like, no, men get it now. Men have periods.
He didn't say that.
No, but some people are saying, but trans have periods, but now they're considered men. So they're just like mixing the label. You know what? Let people have their like their
All it does is
identity.
hurt women. All it does, all that does, and all this third wave feminism does is hurt women. It makes hookup culture a lot easier. It makes it so that, women want to act not just like men, but like shitty men. They want to be able to hook up, fuck as much as they can, and then move on. It's like, yeah, but you can get pregnant. Men can't get pregnant, right? Like a man could fuck a woman and just leave. A woman fucks a man and gets pregnant, she's stuck with that baby. And the man's like, sweet, feminism says that you're just like me, so I'm just gonna fuck you, and if you have a kid, either kill the kid or I'm out of here. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm not, because now the hookup culture, there's no reason for me to stick around. Like, you're empowered now because you can give your vagina away for free, which is very, very valuable, by the way. A woman's dignity in vagina is very, very valuable to her. And the more partners she has, it's like a good, high quality male won't necessarily want to marry a woman like that. And then these women are told, you got to be a CEO, you got to run a business, you got to make money for the family, blah, blah, blah. And then they turn 40 and they don't have kids and they're like, oh, fuck, like I missed my opportunity to have kids. Now no good man, wants to mate with me now. They're all taken up. And this is like kind of the cruel trick of this third wave feminism. When I think there's a lot of women out there who are probably like, I would like to have a family. I would like to have a man who's a good man, and I'd like to have children so that when I'm older, there's people who care for me, blah, blah, blah. I'm not just like surrounded by cats with my fucking 10 vibrators.
What's wrong with cats?
What's wrong with vibrators?
I have 20. No. But you know what I mean? Like this this new like wave of like feminism and all this stuff. It, like, to me, it really, it tries to pretend like it's empowering women, but in the end,
hateful too.
it does. Well, it becomes hateful towards men.
Yeah.
But I think it's actually not in women's best interest, and I can see why they want that. Like, you know what? I want equality of opportunity as well, but at some point, I think we have to admit, like, men are kind of wired differently from women, and that's just, in my opinion, that's just nature. Men are more driven. They're okay being away from their family to make money and to earn and provide and whatever. And a lot of women are, would probably be happier at home or be happier in a home role. And I'm not saying all women, so don't fucking freak out or anything. There's a lot of women who are high producing, very, very competent, business women. They're very, very effective. But I don't know that is a common thing all around.
Yeah, I think the sad part is like it's easy for intellectuals or politicians or whatever to be spewing ideologies and whatnot, right? But the lives that you affect, there are no do-overs, right? It's like by the time you actually get to that point, as you said, you're 40, you're like, oh fuck, what did I do with my life?
You might not even be able to have kids.
Yeah, there are no do-overs anymore. That's I think that's the part that people don't think about that much, because unless you see and feel and experience that yourself, it's kind of hard to put yourself in those shoes, So
Are you still watching, or are you squirting and crying because of the things we're talking about?
No, they're going to
tuned
find
out
out what
already.
business we all have, and then already ready to go write
Google
reviews.
OnGuard
Are they
0. This guy's a bigot.
are they squirting because of the 20 vibrators?
No, they're just caught up in their whole, programming about the things we're saying. We're just smashing all these sacred cows. Guys, here's another thing too. Like Tuna was saying, it's not coming from a place of hate, all this discussion. And the best way to change the culture is just to be unapologetic, be honest about it, and just say, hey, I don't have to prove to you I'm not hateful. There's no way for me to prove to someone I'm not hateful. There's no way for me to prove to someone that I'm not a racist if someone accuses me of being a racist.
Just how you interact.
Just be honest and be unapologetic, and don't be afraid.
Yeah, Matt is half Chinese. He cannot be racist. There's just no way.
But I am half white, so
yeah, I know.
half racist, I guess. The most racist people I ever met were
Are actually
Koreans,
Asians.
Koreans and Indian people. Most racist people, and it was fucking hilarious. I worked with these people every day. This Indian guy would call me Whitey or whatever. It's fucking hilarious. I loved it. Like, that's how guys talk to each other. That's locker room talk. That brings friends closer together. Especially in a I talked to a kid about this, especially in a society that's as diverse as Canada, where it's like, there's people of all different backgrounds. It's like, you let off steam by acknowledging your differences. It's not out of a place of hate. It's just saying, hey, like, I fucking like dim sum, maybe you like schnitzel.
Yeah. They're not bad.
Maybe you like escargot. I don't know. Like, and then we all sort of share. It's not from like, oh fuck, like I hate this one group. It's like, and there are people like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's people like that, but I think it's pretty fucking rare.
And stereotyping is fine. It just gives you a base to start off with.
It's a good way to start your racist journey.
Yeah.
So this is great. So now we move from COVID to racism. That's perfect.
we didn't even talk about COVID.
I know. Yeah. So the one thing, if we go back to COVID, the one thing that bugs me the most is the weak-minded motherfucking losers.
Oh shit! You're going hard in the paint.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
The quiet guys.
I know who uses having received the vaccines and the boosters as the moral fucking
virtue,
high
yeah,
ground, like as the virtue signal. Now,
It doesn't take any
yeah, man.
work to get the vaccine.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
doesn't-
Yeah,
that's-
what about the other stuff that you have done with your life that allows you to be on the moral high ground? What about those? There's nothing because they're holding on to straws, you know. So
No,
that fucking pisses me off so much.
And that's the thing is nowadays because of social
easier.
media, it's easy and everyone can see that you did it.
You can be an asshole in real life. You don't have to be kind anymore. Just take the vaccine.
Before social media, nobody knew your political opinion, nobody knew things, opinions, but now that there's social media, you can just be like, "Oh, look, I got the vaccine today. I'm keeping people safe," which was proven not to be a thing. And it doesn't cost them anything to do it.
When is keeping other people safe a virtue? Just supposed to, just to be a decent fucking human being,
If you believe in it, you should have just taken it in the first place, period. And it's nothing to be proud of.
It's like when fucking George Floyd died, and all my friends are putting black squares on their thing. I stand in solidarity with BLM, which BLM turned out to be a total scam. Never gave money to the fucking black community. Never did a thing for the black community. Total fucking scam. And all these white liberals are putting these black squares on their Facebook thing. Oh, look, I stand with BLM. It's like, okay.
Or the people who supported the riot.
Are we going to talk about George Floyd? Like, fuck, this conversation rocks.
You know what's funny for me? I'm watching all this like stores in
God.
LA because the George Floyd bugged me a little bit, right? Because there was and still is a lot of like police brutality happening,
there
right?
is.
But here's
Just
the point.
to be clear, yes, there is.
There is.
And he shouldn't have been on his neck for fucking 9 minutes. I'm not condoning that.
But the thing is,
we know that's not a
I'm mad
solution.
I'm mad at the public because there was a point when the police was like, you know what? Let's have a conversation and find out what's going on. And then that's when the people should have been like, okay, great, they're listening. Why don't we just put more like instead of someone like doing something stupid like, oh, I killed the guy, I'm just gonna I need a vacation, so I'm gonna go hurt somebody, and now I'm just gonna be put on paid leave. That's the fucked up thing. Because it kind of like encourages you to do bad shit. But what if like instead of when they get sued, instead of the city paying for it, why don't they make it that the police's what's the word I'm looking for, insurance or the retirement fund pays for it? Then they'll be like, you know what? Well, who's this motherfucker putting his fucking dick out, guns blazing all the time? Got to get them fucking out of the force. I wouldn't have anything to retire to. Then you start solving the problem, right? But now when there was a conversation happening where the cops were like, okay, let's have a conversation. And everyone's still like, fuck it, riot.
They're already a mob.
Riot,
Point, yeah.
riot. And now,
Mob mentality.
and the funny thing is those people they're like, fuck it, riot. We'll be the first one to call the fucking cops. The one that defund the police. They're the first one to call the
I
cops.
remember that after some of the closest people in my life were telling me how they need to defund the police. And I'm like, if anything, we need to fund the
it more,
police
yeah.
so we can teach them like what we do, jujitsu. We can teach them grappling and how to actually control.
And then what's
someone.
happening in states now is the defunding the police. A lot of shoplifting is normal. You can shoplift now for under $1,000, so people just go
I
in to
know.
store taking.
Last couple times, so I went to Vegas recently. I went to Walgreens, and they're like, please pay for this. Literally, what they said to me. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, please, like, don't steal this. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess.
You're in luck. I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
I will fucking pay
I'm
for
like, I'm
this.
too nice for that shit.
But even in Canada, it's gonna like
It's fucking crazy, man. We see these videos of dude, like, I'm not racist, but is it racist to notice that most of the people stealing shit are all black? They're in these fucking like iPhone stores stealing all the shit. They're in stores just stealing. And like that's why a lot of these stores don't exist anymore. Why San Francisco is just an absolute shithole now is because there's nobody enforcing the law. And when no one enforces the law,
People
the
just do what they
lunatics
want.
just run the asylum. And
Yeah.
can you blame them? Because a lot of them are fucking poor. And poverty, just like fear, does fucked up things to people. So I sympathize with a lot of these people too. But a lot of them are saying like, oh, it's for slavery. They use this slavery narrative, like the progressives really keep opening.
I don't
the
get
slavery
that. So
thing.
what are we supposed to do? Turn back time, or everyone's supposed to leave?
Well, there's nothing. We just gotta honestly, we just gotta get over it. Really, is what it is. Like,
Yeah, because-
like the Chinese people did when they fucking came here.
Yeah, yes.
They had to build the railroads.
Yeah,
and shit.
Chinese
It's like,
people were
it's like, yeah,
enslaved.
we just started crushing. We just
Yeah.
fucking
Like fucking
move on.
yeah. I mean the Roman Empire probably pretty much enslaved everybody. It's not.
Every race.
Yeah,
has
every
been
every
enslaved.
race has been enslaved.
Every
Yeah.
race has been enslaved.
It's the thing. It's like you're born into this year, what cards you're dealt with, and just freaking maximize it. People who are just doing that are just like, you know what? You have every equal opportunity to the people that got rich. And then what's bugging me too, all these people like hating like white males. I feel sorry for straight white males. I feel sorry for half of you, Matt. Because everyone's just hating on them. I'm just like, yo, what's just like the majority, if the people, like, majority, like 99% of the straight white males are fucking having the same issue that you're having. You're just thinking that, like, that 1%, this rich motherfucker, is every fucking white male. No, man. It's
No,
like,
there's a lot of poor white people out there.
yeah.
There is. There's a lot of impoverished white people. And there's another myth.
I feel sorry for them because now they don't have an excuse. They're just fucking poor, impoverished, and then they can't say shit, and they still get shit on for shit they have nothing to do about. Like, yo, I'm actually pissed off too. Like, I'm fucking poor.
And there's another narrative that the most racist people are white people, right? Like they're the oppressors or whatever. And man, like,
I'm fucking racist as fuck.
dude, like that's what I'm saying. Like, watch Chris Rock from the early 2000s and tell me it's not fucking funny. When he's going off with racist jokes, the whole crowd's going insane. It's fucking hilarious. We need to get back to where like comedy can be funny again and we can laugh at these things. But for some reason, people just got so fucking sensitive that it's really like it's anti-Western, really.
You know what's
how we
happening?
can't just laugh at shit anymore.
Everyone is just getting into like an idea of like justice, like social justice and
Right.
whatnot. But people are forgetting the most important thing. How about just like, it all comes down to just like kindness. Is a person kind? I've met a lot of people who act like whatever, but they're the fucking kindest people in the world. And I know a lot of people who preach a lot of good stuff, but they'll be the first motherfucker to watch you die. You know what I mean? It's like, what happened to just like being kind and then acting in like with kindness, you know what I mean? And just treating everyone nice, equal. I talk a lot of this stuff, but I interact with a lot of like trans people and I just like call them in the right proper pronoun if they're like nice and whatever. It doesn't affect me.
Call them what you want.
Yeah.
What they want, right?
Yeah, I respect that. It's
Yeah.
just like,
That's what I would do too.
yeah, it's
I'm not going to be like, no, I'm not. fucking-
no, just like I'll call you whatever. It's just when it's like it's not even them, when the media is using them as an excuse and as a tool to just kind of like
Totally.
to promote the social justiceness, which actually creates separation. And if you think about like people, I am from the left originally, right? But it's just so far to the extreme. I'm like gonna.
I know a lot of
I've been
people who are
forced to
like
be
that.
in the right.
Like I was a liberal too, basically.
I think we still are liberal.
Or I'm center now. Like after you have kids, after you open a business, things do change a little bit. Like your values change a little bit. I won't lie. Like when I was in high school, I have different values from when I was in high school, and that's normal for people to just change their opinions. But like, I remember when I was a kid, like I wasn't really into politics, but the right and the left could talk to each other and not hate each other, and they could accept that people are different. Nowadays, it's like if you're right, you're a Nazi. It's like,
Yeah,
it's like we
that's
fucking
what
beat the Nazis like fucking 80 years ago. What the fuck are you talking about?
I remember when the right and the left were in the same news station. Right?
Yeah, tuna is
I
so
remember when there were two bathrooms.
yeah, tuna is so right. It's always the people who are the sacred people, putting on this facade of being like the holy man, and those are the ones that's gonna go fucking rape your kids, just like the Catholic priests and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So there's a reason, right? So that's why I trust the people who's like talking and speaking their mind like us, right? And we're not afraid to let people know what we think, So that's why you can trust us.
Yeah, we're not lying.
Buy
We're
our
not
shit.
lying to
Whatever
you, right?
whatever we're gonna sell you later, buy our shit, okay?
Like it's I saw this thing on like internet. They're just like they're talking about the difference between like New York and LA. They're just like they said like, oh, and I was like, God, this is a perfect example actually. Like they're like, in New York they're mean but they're kind, and in LA they're nice but they're unkind. Like if you have your flat tire in LA, someone will be like, "Oh, I feel sorry for you. Oh, it sucks," and then they'll just drive by, and you're still fucked there. You're still fucked up with your problem, and then your tire's not changed, right? Like
Yeah.
if you don't know how to change your tire. But in New York, if that happens to you, someone will go, "What the fuck? You're so stupid. You're so dumb."
And then they'll help
they're on their knees already changing it, right? They're like,
Can't believe I gotta help this
I
fucking
can't believe you know how to change your second tires. Oh my god, it's cold here. You're gonna die if you don't get your car moving.
And then
Why
they
are you
help
such a
you.
loser? And then your tires change and they're still whatever to you. But like in the end, like you know, like who's better? Like who actually made a bigger impact? The virtuous person that just whatever, or the person that made a difference
Yeah.
that changed this guy's tire?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I'm not saying you should change the tire, but that's just like a general example of what's going on.
And just being from Canada, I don't know if you experienced this. How long have you guys been in the country for?
I've been here for 12 years.
Do I need to check your papers?
30 years.
Do you work for the CCP?
Yeah, I messed up. I'm 30 years, but like I have shitty English and shitty Tagalog, so I think everyone just makes fun of me.
For me, it was like cool for Canadians to like kind of be prejudiced towards Americans. It was like a normal thing that we kind of like look down on Americans as like dumb people. They don't know anything about us, blah, blah, blah.
Probably do the same thing to us.
They 100% do. And especially now, for good reason, especially now more than ever. Look who's fucking running the country. But whenever I go down to the States, man, friendliest people I ever deal with. Like, people actually will want to like chat with you. It's happened to me in multiple cities through competitions. I go in, oh, hey, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know this person. They're just super friendly. Dude, the people in Vancouver are fucking assholes, in my opinion. I can't stand people from the downtown area of Vancouver. Like, I used to commute down there all the fucking time, and it was just like everyone basically
lonely.
hates each other. Everyone hates each other.
If you're not in a scene,
there's no community.
Yeah.
There's no community. And that brings up another thing. Like we have jiu-jitsu and whatever, podcasting, like find community, because that is such an important piece in life that a lot of people don't have. It used to be done by going to church back in the day. Like people would find their community through church and whatever, play on a sports team or whatever, or have other social clubs. A lot of people are missing that, and their only community is like, oh, I'm going to go on Facebook, and I have a group on Facebook.
that's what's happening.
It's what's happening.
Or their community is their gender. It shouldn't be.
True.
Your gender should just be how you feel, who you
true.
prefer to fuck. Find something that you like. Knit, like
Yeah.
pole dance, whatever, anything. Just like find a place where you have like-minded people, a skill-based thing.
Exactly.
And then level up, and then
So important.
vicariously live through whatever your passion is. Model, miniature thing,
Maybe
or
you
whatever.
like to make dildos. I don't know.
Like, hey, like it sounds as a joke, but why not? There's a community of dildo maker out there, and they have like high level dildo art, and it takes a lot of skills. But like the thing is, you're putting. No, like it's extreme, but the thing is,
Probably a lot of money to be made in that.
yeah, no, but find something that you can level up.
I'll be a
As a
dildo
person.
tester.
Yeah. Well, for someone with 20 vibrators, right, you would know what would be good and
I
what
wouldn't
wouldn't.
even know if it was in there. I'd be like,
Yeah. No, but like joking
is
aside,
it
like,
in? I don't know.
but like you're so 100%. You need to find something that you can just like grow. Like I think hobbies are important, so important.
Totally. The people you meet.
It doesn't
who,
have
like,
to be whatever it is.
Yeah. Like I'm so lucky to have jujitsu.
Oh, yeah,
Because the
me too.
people that I've met through jujitsu, and even after like COVID, like I was a fucking asshole during COVID. I was very aggressive.
Matt was an asshole
I was
during
very
COVID.
aggressive.
Very.
And you know what?
Concur.
So here's the thing. A lot of people during COVID who were very pro-mask, pro-vax were fucking assholes, and they never said to their loved ones who they affected, hey, you know what? I was off base. I was a fucking asshole. I was scared. I shouldn't have done that. I will say this right now. I made mistakes during COVID. I was too aggressive. I apologize for that to anyone who was fucking mad at me, but what I shouldn't have done is I should not have tried to change people's minds. That was my shortcoming during COVID. I should have let people do whatever they're going to do and just, but now I'm sort of more, like, right. But not like my mistake was I was pushing my views on people.
You would have yelled at my Asian friends for wearing their mask. They're used to it. It's normal. Don't yell at them. Let them wear their mask.
And their visors. They're always
that shit.
They're always going through our trash cans. And
Yeah,
shit,
but you know why they do that, right?
visors?
Not in visors and mask.
Well, I don't know why they
It's
wear
not.
visors.
It's not for COVID. It's
They
to
have
block out
built-in
the. It's to
sunglasses.
block out the sun.
They already have this. This is their sunglasses.
That's racist, half Asian.
Yeah. So that's it.
What are you gonna do? I'm fucking Asian.
Hey,
I can say
case
that.
in point, Matt Kwan just apologized, but he's still a fucking asshole.
I am an asshole, but I'll be straight up with you always. That's the thing. Is like, I should keep myself more guarded. Honestly, I should. And after
On guard.
COVID, I should be on guard at all times. And after COVID, now I realize like, oh, like I actually learned a lot from that. Like next time something like that happens, I'll behave differently. You know what I mean?
believe what you
Like,
gotta
I
do.
admit that I did something wrong. I can recognize that it was wrong. It's not going to happen again. But I will laugh at you.
In the beginning, I was just like, you know what? I don't know what's happening. Let's all mask up, right? But I never really preached, oh, mask up. I just like, well, for this to work, let's just do this. But then after a little bit, I'm just like, well, now all the masked up is becoming more political than scientific,
Right.
right? Then I just became just like, if you want to get the vaccine, go get the vaccine. If you don't want to get the vaccine, don't get the vaccine.
And then they're like, no, if you don't get it, you're
Yeah.
fired.
Oh, that's crazy.
Right? And I think most people can see that that's fucking crazy, but I even
But it
had-
depends too. Like maybe in like so they don't know what's happening in like a medical field or whatnot.
well, I know people who like in my family who were trying to justify to me people losing their careers because they didn't want to get the jab. And I'm like, but how can you tell someone that they need to put something inside their body? Like, that's so fucked. And they have to consent to it. And then after they're like, right now, they're like, you know, if you get like myocarditis or whatever, they're like, well, you didn't have to do it. You agreed to do it. It's like, but you almost took my fucking job. It's like, well, actually, I did agree to it.
Yeah, yeah.
They fucked me.
They did. They did. They're sweeping
They're
that.
right.
Yeah.
They need
yeah.
consent, right? They need consent. That's really, really important.
Can I fuck you up the ass? You said yes, right? That's what's happening.
Oh boy. Yeah, but it's good that you
High
brought up.
quality conversation we have here.
Yeah, very good, man. So you did bring up the jiu-jitsu thing again. So again, as a jiu-jitsu podcast, you said that
You can fuck me in the ass side if you want.
yeah. So you did say that you are.
Boosted. I'm safe. Sorry, you're going.
Yeah, sorry. You did say that you are grateful for jiu-jitsu, and so for you to have a community and everything, right?
Absolutely.
But now let's go back to trying to get canceled. What is something that you absolutely despise?
What do I
with
despise?
with the jiu-jitsu community or anything? Because when I talk to people,
Despise?
you,
in
you know,
the
you know,
jiu-jitsu
or something that you can't. You're like, man, you know, this is fuck, but nobody talks about it. Because when I interview other people, everybody is so like, no, there's nothing I don't like about the jiu-jitsu community. You know, whatever.
I mean,
well, which I know is not true. So let's say what do you have to say?
Honestly, I feel very fortunate in Vancouver. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for like 15 years, almost 16 years now, I think. Like, I knew you back when we were like white belts.
Yeah.
Like back in the day. And I feel very, very fortunate to
I
be
knew
a part
you-
of Vancouver's jiu-jitsu community, even though it's not like this isn't Austin, Texas. This isn't, you know, LA where there's like crazy good, you know, but the level's
we're
getting
tight.
better and
All the
better.
people are
Everyone's getting pretty tight, and I feel like it's a healthy community where everyone has shown that they can come together over and over again. There is a couple of schools that kind of stay out of the community, and that's fine, whatever. They want to be kind of isolationist, that's fine. But for the most part, like in terms of the community, there's not really a whole lot that I don't like. There are some individuals, I would say, who are predatory towards minors and towards women, and I've been vocal on social media about this before, and I feel like those are the types of things where I get kind of pissed off, you know. But aside from that, like I think that we have a great community. There's only a couple of fucking assholes out there who should probably be publicly hanged.
I'd agree too. I love our community. And then even though when we had like a little bit divide, because like our community got split into like the mask wearing and the non-mask wearing, but everyone was able to just like keep it off the mats. You know what I mean? They would still have what their preference, whatever, but they would train.
Are you talking about like at the end of COVID when there was tournaments going on?
Yes.
Yeah, that
And
was
you know
a
what?
weird time, right?
Yeah, but you know what? Even when like tournaments was there, and I can guarantee you, people were like, you know, all the mask wearing people that are whatever. Like, I know some people like they would fucking secretly train and whatever, and then preach, don't meet anybody. What the fuck? You're fucking secretly training. Everyone is secretly training.
Like I lost a lot of relationships honestly during that. I lost some students because of how I was conducting myself, but then I gained a lot of students, and the students that stuck around, we got even tighter after COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But there's people who basically cut themselves out of my life because of how I was acting, because I was
You were a little bit of an extra asshole though.
I was just aggressive, right? I was aggressive, and I was going hard against the narrative.
Yeah.
And it was jarring to most people because they were scared.
Yeah.
And I wasn't.
You know what? They
scared.
have every right
That's-
to be afraid too, though.
So I should have sympathized with people for being afraid. because I wasn't doing that, and I should have totally done that and been like, man, like these people are like fucking afraid. Like I didn't think about that from their
And some
perspective.
of them had like I was kind of like in that situation too, where like I wouldn't care myself, but then I had to go take care of my mom, right, who's really sick.
Yeah.
So then I was just like, well, I would like to have the ability to just go out here and whatever, but I also don't want to be the person that is just like, if I was wrong,
Yeah.
the consequences
You're taking
was really
precautions,
high,
right?
right?
You're taking precautions.
But I was never really like sold on the side. I was just thinking like, I don't know. Some of my friends on the left, like I know when I talk to somebody, because we're expert at when you're an expert at something, you kind of know when someone's talking and they actually know the subject matter, or they're just regurgitating information. Do you know what I mean? You can just feel it. You can just like, well, you said it, but like it doesn't sound like like I don't see your brain processing what you're saying. And I had a lot of that on both sides.
Yep. Like what is left? What is right? These are again just groups, just dividing us into like political factions. You know, I say I'm a classical liberal, but I have a lot of views that people would hear and be like, "Oh, you're hard right," and it's like, not really. I'm still
It's just an asshole.
I'm just a bigoted asshole,
Get that mixed
racist.
up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So those relationships that you lost, are there any that you would like to mend?
No.
All right. All right.
You know why? No, because it showed to me how if someone is that afraid, they would rather cut themselves out of my life than try and work things out. And so true colors were shown. Like I didn't cut anyone out of my life because their opinions on COVID. They cut me out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like
Well, it's just
okay,
them as a weak person.
right. So it's like why would I want someone like that back into my life if I can't trust them to be around, right? Like, what if something like this happens again and we have another disagreement and they just fucking. So it's not like, honestly, the losses that I took were not that bad. And there were relationships that were damaged, but I was able to mend. And those are somewhat valuable to me still. But it's one of those things where, like, we don't look at each other the same anymore. You know what I mean? Which is unfortunate, but at the same time, it's all been like a learning journey for me, and I've definitely matured out of it. And I've sort of like, well, I don't know if matured is the word, because I'm not fucking mature, but I've learned from it, from the experience, and I've sort of seen like, oh, it was almost like a social experiment in a way where I saw how people reacted to a crisis, and now next time something like that happens, like I kind of know more of what to expect, if that makes sense.
I think it's important to just have like different opinions when you're like, you don't want a group of friends that agree on stuff. You know what I mean? You want people to just like, if they don't agree with like your idea, it doesn't mean you can't hang around with them and you still can't be boys and your experiences weren't true. It's just like, just different point of views, and it should be, I think it should be okay. And
Yeah. Like
and,
I'd like
and
to
it,
get back to that.
yeah,
That would be good.
and what's happening now is just like, oh, you don't agree with me, fucking, I'm not talking to you. That's what's dangerous.
Yeah.
Now you're just like gonna be in a place where you're just filled with like people just agreeing with you all the time, and then who knows what's right or what's wrong. You know what I mean? But at least if you're like able to have a discussion, you can disagree but still cooperate. And the funny thing is, it's not like these people who are agreeing or disagreeing are top of the fucking food chain where like whatever the decision would be like how the world would fucking work, you know, or like they're the top scientists that's gonna make the decision of how they're gonna do this and how they're gonna do that. No, you're just fucking following. You know what I mean? Like no matter what your views are, you're all still living the same fucking lives.
And I think a lot about the COVID issue, like, I don't know if you guys would disagree. I think it'd be pretty hard to disagree, but like the role that the media played in it and how it like made everyone so afraid. Oh, today we have this many deaths, this blah blah blah. Let's hear from that cunt Bonnie Henry and hear what she has to say. Blah blah blah. And then you go out and like I remember I was standing in a line at the butcher shop. I was about this close to the guy, and he's like, can you step away from me? It's like afraid, like socially. And I was like, fuck, man. Like these people are like radicalizing people to the point where they're like yelling at you in public if you get too close or if your mask is down like this. And I'm like, man, media is super powerful, and it's fucking crazy the damage that media has done. Like, look at the BLM riots, you know, a couple of years ago. A lot of that was drummed up by the media. And, you know, I recommend that people, you know, if you think I'm an asshole for for talking about the George Floyd thing, you guys should check out The Fall of Minneapolis, because it goes into all the body cam footage, all the information that the news withheld from the courts and everything. They weren't upfront about the information. They weren't upfront about the autopsy information. You know, the guy fucking had tons of fentanyl in his system. There's footage of him on the body cam that wasn't released. He's got a fucking baggie in his mouth. You know what I mean? It's like, this is all information that would have been, it's not going to exonerate Chauvin for what he did, but at the same time, it will show that, hey, there's other parts to this story. You know what I mean? But by that time, the mob was already fucking crazy, right? Anyways, back to BLM.
No, it's the media, and
Media's fucked, man.
and people believing in it, but not believe. You know what bugs me? Hypocrites. If you're the person that says, "Oh, you should wear mask," and then support all that, but they actually like hunkered down and didn't go out, and they believed in it, respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no, because what they believe in. What bugs me is so many people on social media like, oh, it's oh mask. I should go do this, and then and then I would talk to them, and they're like, oh, I want to go out and party. I want to go. I'm gonna go party this. I'm gonna go out doing this. So I'm like, so you're being a fucking hypocrite then.
Yeah.
If you genuinely believe in this masking thing, why is your concern going out and partying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or when the media said, okay, it's okay to take the masks off now. We're lifting the mask mandates now. And then I go out and slowly, instantly half of the people took off their masks. And then slowly everyone started taking off their masks. And I'm like, so do you guys not think that this is still a thing?
Yeah,
do you not think that this is, if
exactly.
it's so fucking dangerous that you were such an asshole to me,
Why are you
shaming me for not
You
wearing
can
a mask?
still leave your mask on.
Exactly. Don't you believe in it? Don't you think that it's fucking what they said? Or are you just that manipulatable?
Yeah, you know what it is too? It's because it's easy. It's hard to actually be kind. It's hard to actually be out there and just act on kindness, right? But it's easy to act virtuous online.
Yeah, and everyone can see it, which is really unfortunate. That's the thing about
You get
social media.
likes. You don't get likes. You don't get a like button if you're actually go out there and just be kind to people. But you get so much likes for virtuing.
Yeah. So Matt.
Yeah.
So do you think we're doing a good job on trying to get canceled, or do you think we need to try harder?
I mean, we could talk about some conspiracy theories. We could go deep into conspiracy theories. We haven't touched Israel yet. What else are we going to go into?
That is true. That is true. That is true.
We haven't even talked about jiu-jitsu. Are we going to talk jiu-jitsu or no?
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin with Israel. I'm just not educated.
I don't know anything either.
Yeah, if I say anything, it'll just be dumb and stupid.
Honestly,
I don't know.
Honestly, here's how I believe about that thing. I don't trust anything I see on the news. So any narratives that are on mainstream news, I just immediately question. So I don't have an opinion. I think both sides have done horrible things to each other.
I think whatever's happening should just stop.
I think it's the Allies' fault after World War II for just moving Israel in there and being like, okay, you own this place now, and everyone's like, what the fuck? We've been living here forever. That's a fucked up move. And I don't think that we should be sending any money or any troops over there. That's my opinion on Israel and Palestine. I feel bad for both sides. I think the governments on both sides have some shitty people running the show, and I don't want
People are
any
paying for it.
And I don't think we should have to pay for it. I don't think that our tax. Unfortunately, though, the United States seems to be always helping Israel out and giving them their money and giving them troops and equipment. So that's how I feel about that topic. It's sad though.
It is, because I think the most important thing is when you start seeing people actually arguing whether whether children being killed, it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm like, it's a bad thing. What the
never a
fuck?
good thing.
Why the fuck are we even arguing about that?
That's never a good
Either sides. But you do have some people who believe that no, they should have killed more or whatever. But which is dumb, And then you have some people.
That's truly evil if you think that bombing
Your enemy's kids.
Yeah, if you think that that's justified, that's truly evil.
dumb.
That's actually hateful.
And it's the dumbest thing in the world, because what you gonna do? How do you think those kids with their parents and their family got bombed? How are they gonna grow up? Are they gonna grow up to be kind and loving person? No, they're gonna be vengeful and then want revenge, right? And then and then they're gonna people that if we meet them now, we'd hate them. We'd I can't believe you're just a pure evil person. But what led them to be? There's some just straight up fucking evil people who grew up from a nice family, but there are people who are just this was just the life that they have. I'm not defending anyone's action or anything, right? I'm
No,
just saying it's just like, yeah.
Like,
Even
for
this, I
me-
wouldn't even touch. I'm just not educated enough on this.
For me, like, if I'm being totally honest, it's none of my business what goes on over there. If they want to have a war and fight, fucking go do it. I just don't want us to send our resources and our troops there. I don't want my kid to get drafted and go fight over there. Like, I can't stop two countries who hate each other from fighting. It's part of history. It's part of human nature. We got to get used to, like, not being, well, it's not us, it's the States, but not being the fucking world police, you know what I mean? Like, oh, we got to go over there, and, like, it's like, why are you really going over there? You want oil, you want resources, you want a strategic place in the Middle East.
Conflict to happen because it's easier to manage a country that's in conflict. I don't know. That's just conspiracy shit I'm just making up.
No, like, there's like, look at the war on terror when they went to Iraq based on, like, weapons of mass destruction that weren't there. It's like, no, it's a strategic place, and you went there for fictitious bullshit reasons. It's like, yeah, we should not be the world police. You know what I mean? We should just because a country is committing atrocities on the other country, if we get involved, all it does is fuck us over, and everyone hates us for it. So, like, why are we doing it? You know,
And it usually makes things worse, anyways.
it makes things worse. So, yeah. What else?
Right. Right. You know what? I think we did pretty good. Dude.
We'll find out when we go
Yeah,
to our, review section.
I know. Yeah. So I think so. Thank you, Matt. You know, that was
That's it.
That was
you guys,
probably-
you guys are fucking done.
that'll do, man. My back. But I think this is probably the best episode we have done. Really, honestly, I had so much fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean,
Yeah, but anything you want to say, you know, jiu-jitsu wise, or about the school, anything you want to plug, you know, just let the listener know.
yeah,
if they're still listening.
Yeah, if you guys haven't turned off the episode yet, check out the Essential Jiujitsu Podcast. You can find it on all major platforms. Shoot me a message on Instagram. Let me know how much you hated this episode. Minju Tuna, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And don't forget, also join his OnGuard Online Academy.
Oh, yeah.
It's the shit.
If you wanna support the show, please go to OnGuard Online Academy. I don't talk about any of this shit on there. It's strictly jiu-jitsu. I actually like jiu-jitsu a lot, despite what happened in this conversation.
Yeah, so maybe the next one we do with Matt will actually talk about jiu-jitsu. but I felt like this one had to be done.
Oh, God. It
Awesome, man.
was a lot of fun.
I know. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time.
Good shit. That was fun. We just